This is the Dark Illumination Report podcast for Tuesday, August 18th, 2020. On today's episode, I'm going to be answering a question that comes from Hayden, who asked if there's a different pantheon in Shadow Path Diabolism than there is in other forms of devil worship or Satanism.
This is the Dark Illumination Report podcast, the official podcast of Shadow Path Diabolism, your daily dose of Diabolonian philosophy to inspire you on your journey down the crooked shadow path. Here's your host, R.J. Womack, Brother Nero.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the podcast. I'm your host, R.J. Womack, aka Brother Nero, and this is the Dark Illumination Report podcast, the podcast where we promote the religious worship of Satan and demons as a serious faith and way of life. And on today's episode, I'm going to be answering the question of whether our pantheon is different from those of other satanic groups in Shadow Path Diabolism. And the answer, of course, is no. There is really no difference. We worship the same gods, the same demons as any other Satanist would worship. The only difference is that we approach it differently. We use pre-Christian techniques, or try to use as many pre-Christian techniques as possible when we try to lessen the influence of ceremonial magic that has been influenced by Hebrew tradition and by Christian traditions. And we try to get rid of all that and go with techniques that predate Christianity whenever possible. And as I've said before on this podcast, it's almost impossible to get rid of modern occultism completely. There's always going to be techniques that come from modern occultism, no matter how much you try to stay pagan. It's just because occultism and the techniques of modern occultism and mysticism have so influenced everything that we do in magic and spirituality, especially alternative spirituality, that it's almost impossible to avoid techniques altogether that come from those traditions. But anyway, having said that, like I said, the gods we worship aren't any different than any other demons you might find in a Grand Grimoire or something like that. It's just the way we choose to worship them. That's it. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Take care. Hope this helps somebody. Hope you are all doing well. As always, may Satan be with you. Take care.
If you would like to learn more about the Shadow Path Diabolism tradition of occultism, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com. If you enjoy this podcast and support our message, tell a friend, leave us a review, and follow us on social media.